That was depressing. Hello and welcome to the next episode of The World God Only Knows Goddesses. This is episode 9, also called Absent Lovers. This episode's just really down, depressing, and after the last episode was so conflictedly switching on and off with happy and concerned, this one just went straight downward, complete downward spiral at the very beginning. It picks up right where the last episode left off, which Katsuragi and Chihiro were going to find a private place to go on their date. Before I go on with any more in-depth with this, I want to again point out the spoiler television that's going to be up here in the corner, because yeah, I'm about to spoil something really big, because something really big happens pretty early in this episode. Things are getting really romantic with the two of them, and they end up on a bench, and Katsuragi is about to kiss her, and she says, at first I thought he was going to start, doing the nasty. But that wasn't the case. He was just going to kiss her, and she said, be gentle, it's my first. Which, it clicked in my head about the same time you see it click in his head. If she had a goddess within her, that means she would have remembered the conquering. Therefore, she would have remembered already having kissed Katsuragi. And that took a beat for me to get that, because I was just like, oh! And then everything went, oh, that's not good. So now he's got the situation where a girl who doesn't remember the conquest she's fallen in love with him. So he's got an actual, relationship thing going on with her. Right about the time that he starts trying to work what he's going to do in his head, it hits me like, oh my god. I've seen this guy through 3 seasons now, pretty much, of this show. His main focus during this season in particular is the conquest, getting the goddesses out, and he just hit a dead end. He gets really stumped there for a while, but eventually he comes back, and from that point it just gets really sad, because he refuses her feelings. He claims to have been playing a joke on her, a prank on her, because she is constantly picked on him and made fun of him and everything. And he pretty much says this whole situation was him getting payback. Which, of course, you can see it in her face. She gets heartbroken at this. She gets so sad to hear this. She's just been, not only has she been pretty much rejected, almost at the most romantic point of the date, but she's just been told that it all was fake. Everything about it was fake. She gets so heartbroken, and she just takes off. And for a while there, I'm sitting there furious at Katsuragi. Absolutely red-faced, more red-faced than usual, mad. And then it turns out Ayumi was on the roof, and she saw the whole thing and heard the whole thing. So she comes up, and she's mad at him too! I'm sitting there just like, yeah, beat him up! She kicks him in the gut and everything before taking off. And it shows you that Ayumi's the one with the goddess inside of her, because around the time you find out that Chihiro didn't remember the first kiss, it shows Ayumi's reflection in a mirror, and the reflection turns into the goddess. So I'm sitting there through the next few minutes just so furious at Katsuragi for being so evil. I don't care that at the beginning of the series he said he had to be the demon instead of a god. This is something you just don't do! And then it gets even sadder. The following scene is Katsuragi sitting in the bathtub at his house, and you could just see from the look on his face that he's just as heartbroken about this. He's feeling so sad about what he had to do. And because I've seen this character, at first I thought he was just going to brush it off. And that's why I got so angry. But then you see that the realization's hitting him that a girl actually started liking him and fell in love with him. And because he's wrapped up in all this stuff going on with the goddesses and everything, he had to break her heart, and it's starting to affect him too. The goddess inside of Tenri, I believe her name is Henri, comes in the bathroom, and she's trying to get Katsuragi to love Tenri. And it does get pretty funny because there's constant switchings back and forth between the goddess and Tenri. The goddess trying to get Tenri to make the move on Katsuragi, and Tenri getting super duper shy and sending the goddess back out. And I kind of get what they were trying to do. They were trying to throw a little bit of comedy in there after this supremely depressing scene. And it does start to work a little bit, but not enough. By the end of that scene in the bathroom, I was still pretty depressed. It's the scene after that started to pick it back up. Because once he goes out, he sees Tenri, not the goddess, Tenri, sitting there. And she starts doing magic tricks and she knows that he's hiding something. She knows he's not telling her something, and she doesn't want him to tell her because she knows he's likely not going to. She just wants him to smile. And it's a nice little sweet scene between the two where she's doing magic tricks and talking to him, and he's encouraging her magic tricks and everything. And honestly, that scene for me worked way better than the bathroom scene for trying to cheer up the mood. However, I'm still pretty depressed, even after the rest of the episode, which is pretty much him and Elsie, who makes her come back. It's like the most we've seen of her in like the whole season so far. And they go off to an island and everything, and they find that like Vintage has like all these demon spawn eggs growing in this island. And it's basically just furthering the plot about Vintage. We don't see anything about Aqua in this episode, so I'm a little concerned with what's going to happen to her. However, honestly, this might just be the most emotional episode of this show I've seen. I've seen the whole thing so far, and this one really got to me because they did such a good job showing you just how hurt Chihiro was, and then how hurt Katsuragi was. At the end of this episode with Elsie, he's showing that he still has his demeanor about him. He's got his, this is a game I need to beat type of thought process going on, but because of the scene in the bathtub with him, you kind of think that he's using that to pretty much cover ups, because I think he's got a complex now where he has to think he can't show weakness because demons are trying to destroy things, and he needs to focus. He needs to get the goddesses to wake up, and he needs to fix this, no matter what's going to happen. I think that's what he meant, pretty much ultimately, by saying he has to play the demon. Yeah, of course he knew that he was going to have to womanize and all that, but I think somewhere in the back of his mind he knew that he'd probably have to hurt somebody too. So yeah, it's a very good episode, and really looking forward to the next one, because I don't know how he's going to get Ayumi's goddess out, because Ayumi is very mad because she saw the whole thing with Chihiro. So yeah, this has been Meister Blue. I'll see you all next week.